So a common question I always get is like, is the calorie model even relevant? How much should I eat? Like I'm confused. Am I overeating? Am I undereating? I'm just confused with all the conflicting information. And that's perfectly understandable. I was for the longest time. But I think it's really important that initially you get clear on your goal. Because the question, how much do I need to eat? How much should I eat? It's really ambiguous. It's not very clear. So you have to get clear on your goal. Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to maintain your current weight? Or do you want to gain weight? In my case, I wanted to gain weight. So after a lot of cleansing and fasting, as you can see here, I was 130 pounds, very skinny. And then in the past 6 months, I've managed to build muscle at a rate of like £1 per week, so 0.45 kg per week. I'm now sitting at about 156 pounds. So it's really important we get clear on our goal weight, or at least the current direction we want to go in. Do we want to gain? Do we want to maintain? Do we want to lose? And listen, I totally get it if you don't really believe in the calorie model or you don't want to track it, you feel like it's restrictive because like I'll pull up this picture again. When I was like this, I was like, calories are just BS. They're very inaccurate. Like I can just basically eat what I want, go based on feel, and I'll get the results I want. Now, if you are getting the results you want, then I don't know why you're watching this video, truth be told. But keep doing what you're doing. If you're happy in your body, you're where you want to be, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're not happy, if you want to gain weight or you want to just change your body composition, you want to lose fat, then I think it's really important just to track these things for a few days, just to get a guideline, just roughly. Like, obviously, it's not the most accurate. Some fruits, it may be out by like 10-20%, depending on how ripe it is, like the soil it was grown in, things like that. But it's the most predictable way we currently have, like in our modern society. And I'll explain why these pictures are down here in a moment. But basically, if you come over to Chronometer, some of you guys may have heard of this before and you may have been put off. You may have thought, like, oh, it's really nerdy, it's really complicated. But if you come over to Chronometer and you make an account, it'll prompt you when you first come on the web page. And it's really easy. You just make an account and it takes about a minute to register. And then once you've signed up, if you come over here to your profile and targets, this tab here on the left, you input your information. Here's my birthday and my age, so it's coming up soon. If any of you guys want to send me a present, feel free. But yeah, if you put in your height and weight, mine's in pounds. I think that's about 70 kilos for you guys who use kilos. It gives you an estimate of your body mass index, but I wouldn't take too much notice of that. And the body fat is just an estimate as well. But here's where we're kind of interested in. So I'll try to keep this video very short just because I want you guys to actually follow along and take action. But yeah, so it will calculate your BMR. So your basal metabolic rate, that's just how much energy you're burning at rest just to function. Like, so if you were laying in bed, that's what your BMR is without doing any of your daily activities. Yeah. And then in terms of baseline activity level, this is just like how much you do and move and exercise throughout the day. So for me, I'm probably moderately active. I could probably go a bit higher, very active, because I do work out 5 days a week now with boxing training and walking and various other forms of cardio as well. But here, this is what we're interested in here. This is how many calories it takes to maintain your current body weight. And here you see the thermic effect of food. This is just basically how much energy is needed to digest your food. So, for example, if you eat something like celery, sometimes it actually takes more energy to digest than you're actually getting from the celery, like calorie wise. But yeah, if you come down to the bottom here, you don't have to worry about any of these nerdy equations. Here, you can set a weight goal. So if you want to gain weight, which in my case, I'm aiming for like 170 pounds. But obviously, I'm not too fixated on the weight, but I just want to have a muscular physique and I just want to be fit and healthy. And I would recommend not losing or gaining more than £1 per week. And you can adjust this in the settings here. Now, a pound is 0.45 kilograms for any of you guys who work in kilos. So yeah, I can adjust my targets here and it's going to be more relevant to my goals. So if you want to lose weight, you want to be in like a 500 calorie deficit. And I wouldn't recommend going any more than that because otherwise it's going to be too rapid. You'll just lose muscle. And the same when you're gaining. If you gain more than like a pound a week, you're probably going to be gaining fat. So you don't want to overdo it there. And here's just a quick timeline. As you can see, as of today, the 11th of September, if I carry on gaining a pound a week, by the 18th of December, I'll be at my goal weight of 170 pounds. And I know I mentioned you don't really want to go above like 1 pound either side. So you don't want to gain more than a pound and you don't want to lose more than a pound. But obviously that's for the average person. Like if you've got £10, £20 you want to lose, I think £1 per week is a sustainable amount. So you're not losing muscle along with the fat and with the weight gain. So you're not putting on fat. You're not gaining fat along with the muscle or very minimal amounts of fat. But I will caveat that by saying, like, if you've got a lot to lose, you've got £50 to lose, £100, maybe more, or something in that range. Like, yeah, you may lose a good few pounds, especially initially when you drop that water weight. But like, it's not always linear. Sometimes it'll be more, sometimes it'll be less. If you do lose a bit more than a pound, that's fine, because you probably do have a lot of body fat to lose, and that's fine. You've got to respect where you're at on the journey. So yeah. Also, if you're like maybe where I was over here, 130 pounds, maybe some weeks you may gain a couple pounds because it's a lot easier to gain weight when you're quite skinny. So yeah, it becomes a bit more stubborn once you've got like a good physique, and then you just want the sustainable gains. So it's all about knowing where you're at, and these things a lot of the times you need a more personal approach, but I'm just giving general guidelines for those of you who maybe don't want like personalized services from people, or yeah, you just can't afford it. Then I think it's just you can sometimes do some of these things yourself, and I think you just got to do the best you can with what you got. And then if you come over to diary, I was just planning out like a typical day for someone. You can add foods here. If you just right click here on any of the categories, add food, and then you can type something in. As you can see, I've been planning out certain things for my clients. Let's say spinach, raw, 150 grams, bam. And it'll give you spinach. Now, what I mentioned earlier about the calories, some people may say like, all calories are the same, but I'm not a big believer in this. I think ultimately, if you eat a certain amount of calories, like over a consistent basis, yes, your weight probably is going to stay pretty consistent with how many calories you're eating, but not all calories are the same. For example, if you eat like a fresh banana compared to like a packet of crisps or chips for you guys in the US, it's going to be different. One's going to give you more energy for longer. So I'll explain some brief dietary guidelines in a moment. But yeah, if we head back over to Chronometer. So yeah, as I showed a minute ago, you can add foods, and I recommend just for everyone tracking your foods just for a few days. Now you may think it's a little bit like restrictive, a little bit too much, a little bit tedious, but you only have to do it for a few days. Just see roughly what you eat, see roughly what your macros are. In my case, this isn't what I actually eat, but it's kind of similar some days. I was just planning out various different things. But if you come down to the bottom, you can see like the total ratio of fat to carbs, and you can see how much you would have burned. So in this case, for my height and weight, with my baseline activity, I'm also burning additional calories. That was just through being moderately active. And then the thermic effect of food is estimating that it takes about 200 calories to digest all of this food above. And yeah, you can input snacks. You can create custom recipes in here. It's worth playing around with. But also, if you scroll down, it'll give you the micronutrients. But I would caveat this by saying it's a very rough estimate. No one knows if like the tomato you ate has more iodine or no iodine. It's very hard to say. But it's just a very rough guideline. And then yeah, if we come back to this here, you're probably wondering, why am I showing all these buff dudes? So these are all raw vegans, and if any of you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I'm predominantly raw, mainly fruit based. Like most of the food I eat is fruit, some other soft tender leafy greens, some other things like celery, tomato, cucumber. They're like botanical fruits. And I'll have like the occasional steamed sweet potato, the occasional baked fruit, things like that. And you're probably wondering, like, what have these guys got to do with that, and why am I even mentioning my diet? So these guys, um, they're all kind of very low protein. So about 10% of their calories come from protein. So this is Ted Carr. I think he's about 30, yeah, I think it's like 33, something like that. This is Doug Graham. He's in his 70s. He's still doing powerlifting. This is Chris Kendall from the Raw Advantage. And this is Bryan Mirabella. I've interviewed these bottom two, but they're both on a low protein diet, similar to myself. And as I showed here, this is on a very low protein diet. About 10% of my calories are also coming from protein. Yet I've still been able to build muscle and have a lot of energy and recovery better than ever. And recover better than ever. Sorry. So these are just all the personal benefits I've experienced, just like consistent energy, improved sleep, improved recovery, as I mentioned, no brain fog after eating. That's a massive one. No body odor, less negative thoughts, which is a weird one. But when you see the brain and gut link, that's when you realize like what we eat plays a profound role in just our thoughts and our mood. And also perfect digestion, zero residue on toilet paper. And yeah, my poo's odorless. And yeah, here, I was just saying, my shit don't stink, like the song. But yeah, if you want to get like the workout I've been doing, you can find that in the classroom section, the workout routine that's allowed me to build muscle. And also, if you're lazy, I'd recommend going to, if you don't want to sign up for Chronometer, you don't want to track your food, but you just want a rough kind of guideline. If you come to this website, I'll leave it in the description. You can input all your information. I'd recommend everyone's active daily just for general health. I think it's so important. But if I head over to calculate here, this gives me a similar estimate to Chronometer. So it reckons about 2,700 calories to maintain my weight. And then this is how much to gain weight. So it's pretty in accordance, give or take like 100 or 200 calories. And then if I want to lose weight. Now, as I said earlier, I wouldn't recommend gaining or losing more than a pound a week. Otherwise, it's just too extreme and you end up losing too much muscle or gaining too much fat. But yeah, I won't cover the nutrition too much in this video because like that's just a separate topic for another video. We'll be here all day, and it's very personalized. Like with a lot of my clients, we have to tweak things depending on their goals, where they're at. So I don't want to cast any blanket statements. But I'd say like if you can get your macros to 80-10-10, so 80% of your calories coming from carbohydrates, 10% of your calories coming from fat, and 10% from protein, I think ultimately you're going to feel your best. Or at least the people I've interviewed and myself, like I feel my best on these kind of macros, especially predominantly fruit. But yeah, there's so many benefits to a raw vegan diet. And if you've watched my channel for a while, you probably will have heard of them. But if you haven't, then I'll put on screen now like a video going through all the benefits. And I'll also put on screen another video of all the mistakes that I wish I wouldn't have made at the start of my journey. So if you are thinking of embarking on this journey, then I think it would be great if you watch that video. I think it would save you a lot of time and suffering. But I hope this gave you a good overview. And yeah, peace and love.